Today we're going to be talking about cables and the cables that are going to be used between our mixing board and our actual speakers. Now they could be 1/4 inch, they could be XLR. When is one more important than the other to use? And can you easily use 1/4 inch and not worry about it? And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We're also going to show how to hook them up and some of the features and benefits of having one over the other. So again, we've got 2 golden rules and I'll give them away right now. So if that's all you're looking for, if you're hooking up more than 8 cables off your mixer or connecting between your speakers and your mixer, then you want to try and get into as many XLR cables or balanced cables as possible. And that's the key word here, balanced. The other part you want to take note of is how long your cables. If your cables, your 1/4 inch cables are running more than 25 feet long, then you definitely want to be switching over to a balanced cable. And at that point, you might as well switch over to an XLR cable. So if that's all you need to know, and that's fact, there you go. But for now, we're going to cover the actual mixers themselves and how they get connected over the next couple of minutes. And we're going to be using this one here, which is from Pyle. It's one of Amazon's best selling. It's called the PMX U63BT. So if you're looking for a karaoke mixer for home or something to bring out and about to do actual DJ karaoke setups, this is a pretty nice mixer to do that. I do like the actual effects and repeat option, and that's what makes it so good for karaoke. So it also uses 1/4 inch only, but it does offer balance and unbalanced. That's, TS and TRS connections. That's what we're going to be showing how this works with these actual Harbingers behind me. So let's take a look at the Mackie and see what that has. So our second mixer in today's video is going to be from Mackie. It's the Pro FX 10 V3. Now this happens to also be the same mixer that you're listening to right now. I use this mixer here, well not this one here, I use that one over there to make all my actual videos. It's the one that picks up all the audio. It's what I use for doing any type of audio recording that I have set up. All the mics get plugged into it, and that's what I use. That's my day in and day out mixer. So if you want to know what I use one of these guys. This just happens to be a spare. So I kept 2 of them. So again, the Mackie Pro FX 10 V3. And again, why is it so popular? Because it has a really good audio interface built into it. I mean, basically, if you were to buy a separate audio interface, it'll probably be about as similar to this as you're going to get. That's what makes this one pretty much, in my eyes, the best mixer to use as an audio interface. 2-channel, but it's pretty good. 2 out, 4 in, pretty sweet. Now, at the same time, this one has XLR and 1/4 inch as outputs. So again, we're talking about this one because it's very popular and it has XLR options on it. There's lots of good mixers like this on the market, but today we're going to be comparing this one against having a Pyle with only has 1/4 inch options on it. So let's start with the Pyle and go from there. So here we have the mixer right in front of us, and the important parts here is we're going to need a couple of things. We're going to need our 1/4 inch cables because that's how we're going to be hooking things up today, and we're going to need a microphone. So let's spoil ourselves today with an SM58. Now again, great microphone if you want to spoil yourself, but if you want to get a good quality microphone for live singing that's as good as the SM58 but without the price tag, get the one that's called a PJ58. That's also the one they use in their wireless lineup, but you can buy it as a wired microphone. So this is what brought it to the video today. These cables right here, these are the 1/4 inch cables. Now we happen to have a set of them. They only happen to be 6 feet long because I wanted to give you a matching set to look at so nobody would critique that. We're going to be plugging these in first. Now notice everything is still turned off. These are going to be plugged in. Now again, can you run these up to 25 feet? I'd feel very comfortable with this. I wouldn't have to worry about having a balanced signal until I get after that, or unless I'm running at least 8 or more cables. So when we look at the speakers, we get a lot of options. But again, this is why we got ourselves the Harbinger V2312. This offers an actual smart linking capability between speakers, which can be linked up in mono or in stereo. So in this case, we are going to go with stereo. So there is an advantage and a quick and easy smart connection when you use these guys. If you've got 1/4 inch cables, you look at the back of speakers, a lot of times you'll have that extra channel line bay that has 2 1/4 inch channel inputs. So I don't have to occupy the first 2 unless I really want to. So in this case, my volume levels are all down and I'm going to plug into here and I'm not going to have too much concern over that. Just make sure you plug the left and the left and the right and the right because that's going to be important. But outside of that, you're good to go. Now, because these are 1/4 inch, there's no option for mic or line on this particular setup. Very important. If I didn't have the linking capability, I would simply run that cable off to the second speaker and we'll be all set. But this gives me a good clean management system. So far, what do we have for cables? Well, we've got 1 mic cable, we've got 1 linking cable, and we've got 2 1/4 inch cables. So we're definitely way underneath 8 cables. So at this point, to turn everything on, I definitely want to start with the unit furthest away from the speaker. So in this case, the mixer. But if I had a keyboard or an electric drum set, that was plugged into my mixer, I would definitely turn that on first. So, but in this case, I need to turn on the mixer. No phantom power is required, so just the power on the mixer is fine. Then I'm going to come over to the speaker. I'm going to turn this speaker on first because this speaker is connected to the second speaker through the link cable. So I want to have that speaker go on last. And there you go. All the speakers are now on. Mixers are on. Amazingly enough, there's been no popping or cracking sounds due to any of the surging of me turning on equipment. Now I can simply pick up the microphone, turn up the volume, turn up the main volume, get some action here going. Turn that up even a little bit more. And now what we'll do is we'll actually add a little effects just so everybody can enjoy the show. Effects there, turn up the effects there. So now we can come back to the speaker, turn up the actual main volume just a little bit, just like that. We're not going to go too high because we want to turn up everything on the mixer. And we're going to do that here. Turn up the mixer all the way, get the gain levels going there, no problem. Turn the actual main volume up. Now the only thing that's controlling the overall volume is the actual back of the speaker. So again, this actual gauge is going to decide how big the room is going to be. So we'll use that for a gauge. And now we can just turn up the second speaker. And it's as simple as that. The two speakers are linked together. We're good to go. They're both on and they're both working just fine. Now again, 1/4-inch cables. I'm not worried about it. So I'm in no hurry to run out and buy XLR cables for this setup because this works out really well. A good quality set of 1/4-inch cables connected properly are going to do the job just fine. So now, no hissing, no background noise, none of the things you'd be concerned about. Everything's working just fine. Mixer's going to take care of all of that and the speakers are going to sound great. We're good to go. All we need to do now is try out those XLRs and see if anything changes. Now to turn things off, you want to repeat the exact same thing you did in reverse. You want to turn off the second speaker, just like that. Wait for that light to go off. Turn off your main speaker, which in this case is this one here, just like that. Again, if we get no popping sounds out of it, you know you did a good job. Now we can turn the mixer off. And now we're ready to swap out our mixers and our cables. So and here's the actual Mackie mixer, and we're going to plug the microphone into. Now I've already plugged in the power, so all we really need is to get that microphone all set up there. Now remember, everything's off there. And remember, everything on the speaker is also still turned off. So what we're going to do is confirm speakers are off. So plugging in the mixer first or the actual speaker first isn't, in my effect, the most important thing. Consistency. You're plugging things in the same way all the time. That's also very important. So here we are, we've got our cables. Now this is where at the 1/4-inch, I didn't have to worry about it because when we looked at our channel inputs, we didn't have any switching options because it was a line input. And that was all it was, 1/4-inch, 2-channel stereo line input. The actual XLRs on the speaker can be in either line input or a mic input. So we definitely want to have it set up as a line input. There's switches here for that. Sometimes that's built into the actual volume. You definitely have to be careful about that. So now we can safely plug these in. Remember, the speakers are turned off, the mixers are turned off. That's all very important. Don't think I'm just making stuff up just to say it. I'm saying it because if you don't, sometimes you get some nasty, nasty popping sounds. And it's just, you know, it's your equipment. You own it, right? I mean, you don't want to sound bad in front of your customer, and you don't want to damage your product because, you know, you did that. Now we're set, ready to turn other things on. So here we are. We're over at the mixer again. We're going to check our volume levels. We're going to make sure we're not, any channels we're not using, we're going to make sure they're all off because we don't want to add any noise to the system. We're going to check to see that we're in here properly. We're going to check our lines. In this case, we're all set up from our previous setup, which I'm very happy with. We're going to come in the back now, turn that on. Once that powers up, we're going to check our mic input to see if it's muted, and it's not. So we're going to hit that mute button right there. Now that we've turned on the mixer, we can now safely turn on our first speaker. Now remember, we've used the link capability. So if I wasn't using the link options on this actual Harbinger, again, really nice 2000 watts, 12-inch, tons of power. Find it at Guitar Center. Links are down below. Hit that thumbs up button if you like any of the products you've seen yet, or if this video is working out for you. Now, I can turn this speaker on. Ah-da-da. There you go. See? No noise because we turned the mixer on first, then we turned on the speaker. Same, now we can come up to the second speaker. Once you know your first speaker's on, you can turn on that second speaker. Everything's going to be safe. Everything's going to power off. You're going to look very professional, and you're not going to scare anybody with this big, loud popping sound. That's what you're trying to avoid. Now, are you less likely to get background noise from one cable versus the other? A balanced cable is going to be a much more steady if it's a good quality. So if you're comparing apples to apples when it comes to the grading quality of the cable, a balanced signal will tend to be cleaner than an unbalanced. But if there's nothing adding to that much background noise, then there's not going to be that much of a difference. That's how it always is. So again, that's why I say more cables, more chances of background noise, and longer cables, definitely more chances of background noise. So in this case here, again, we've got 3 cables here plus our mic. That's our 4 cables, but we do want to try that balanced connection. We want to see if it really makes a difference. And we're all set here. So again, we had everything only at 25%, so we're going to turn that back up to 25%. Remember, this is all set up as a line input, making things as easy as possible. Turn that speaker around. Now we're going to come back to the mixer. So here we are at the mixer using those XLR connections. Now, XLR is better than an unbalanced because it's a balanced connection. You remember, you can get balanced connections in your 1/4 inch. And so here we go. We're going to take the mute off of there. We're going to bring up the main volume, give that a nice little try, see how that is. And here we are, looking right at you, saying, here we go. I am staying behind the speaker because I'm using it with the mic right now. And you're getting to hear what it sounds like. It sounds just like it did before. The only thing different is the effects. That's truly the big difference. So if you're looking for a great way to hook up your speakers, and you have 1/4 inch cables that are unbalanced, and you're setting up a studio space for yourself, a rehearsal space, especially something in the garage, I don't mind. Hey, go ahead, use your XLRs, use your 1/4 inch, you'll be set fine. If you are going to be running a lot of cables, more than 8 cables, or if you're going to be running a lot of cables that are 25 feet or longer, then you want to switch over to balanced cables. Normally in my book, if I'm 25 feet, I'm buying XLR cables regardless. Just because I can use that cable for anything at that point. I can use it for line inputs for my mixing boards to the speakers. I can use it for mic inputs. I can use it for hooking up anything on the stage or setups that I'm going to be using it for. So at that point, 25 feet or longer, but definitely don't just buy one cable because that can get you caught in a pinch. If you need to actually hook something up one particular way or another, you want to have some of both. So there you go. Like I said at the beginning of the video, thanks for watching. But the answer was right there. I'm happy with you using a 1/4 inch if you've got those at home. Make sure to have a nice balanced amount of cables. The cable itself is more important. So at the end of this video, I do have another video where I talk about the quality of the cables. But at the end of the day, if you have yourself some unbalanced cables and you're not using a ton of them, you're fine. If you're doing long runs or you've got a lot of XLR cables, use the XLRs. That's okay too. But remember, as long as you're not adding to the noise level of all your equipment, you're fine. Because look at that. Monitors at home, they're all hooked up with 1/4 inch cables. They tend to say use a balanced connection when possible because at home if you have a studio, you tend to have a lot of cables hooked up in a very small space. So it's better to be balanced just to be safe. Plus, if you're recording that audio, you want to have the cleanest possible audio signal. But if you're doing live, this speaker, no matter how good it is, when it's very, very good, it always has a tiny little hiss. So for me, my day-to-day speaker in the studio for background music and for practicing and playing and all that kind of stuff are the line arrays because they are actually much quieter than the actual horn on these types of speakers. So that's where most of my noise that I hear comes from, and that's from the horns versus the actual drivers. And certainly the line arrays don't have horns, so they don't make that kind of noise. Please subscribe. I always forget to mention that these days. I kind of like, skip over that, like, oh, it's not important. It is important. It's important. Please do subscribe. Hit that like button and comment. Don't forget to comment. Comments are good. Comments are, what YouTube's all about. I mean, you can't watch a TV show and put a comment on it. You have to go somewhere else and do that. On YouTube, you get to drop one of those right down below. So I hope this video helped you out today. Maybe I'll see you next one. Remember, there's links down below for Guitar Center and Amazon. That's what helps cover the cost of this channel. Makes all these things possible. Like I say, thanks for watching and bye for now.